everybody, and welcome back to another episode of A Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and this day, I have a man by the name of Andrew Snorton. He's an author, educator, host of his own show, just so many other powerful empowerment things going on that I can't wait to talk to him about. But first and foremost, because I like to say that my parents raised me right, welcome to the show. Thank you for making time for me today.
Well, I tell you what, thank you for taking time today to share your platform. Thanks for the great work that you're doing, and to your audience, thanks for supporting, the work that she's doing. And thanks for letting me, sit back and kick back with y'all for a little bit. So thank you.
Awesome. Quick kick back with y'all. Some southern touch there.
A little southern touch with a little bit of influence from growing up in the Northeast. Grew up in Jersey, so that still is kind of dominant. But you live in the Southeast for a little while. You pick up a couple things here and there.
Oh yes, indeed. It will definitely wear off on you. New Jersey, so White Castle and all that stuff back in the day.
See, I'm glad you mentioned that. Like growing up, kind of take it a little bit step back. I was actually born in Illinois, lived there until preschool. So Illinois native, but New Jersey's really home. That's where I did K through 12. But growing up, the first time I remember White Castle was when we go to Montclair, New Jersey, which is in the northeast part of the state, maybe about 15 miles or so from New York. And after we'd visit my aunt and uncle, we'd always make a stop to get a sack of White Castles. And then where I did high school in the Asbury Park, Ocean Township area, Monmouth County, the shore area. So it's about maybe 40 miles south of New York. There's a White Castle about like 10 minutes of mom and dad. So yeah, White Castle.
White Castle is it. You mentioned Montclair. I had, he's passed now, a great uncle who lived in Montclair. And when I would go visit him all the time, he would take me to this big red barn place for ice cream or something like that. But yeah, Montclair, I know Montclair well. I used to spend quite a few childhood days there. But let me get on track here, because I can see now we could probably talk for some hours here. But let me get on track. So I want to do
focus.
Yeah, focus. So I was getting prepared for today's interview, and I was reading through your very diverse, long resume that you have going on. And as I mentioned in the opening, there was a point in time that you were an educator in the Atlanta public school system. And I always think it's important to point out to people that we all have seasons in life, and you have to be ready to transition into the next season. But so I'm curious, what I want to ask you, how does a man go from being a teacher in the public school system to, let me move on. Let me do this. And what was this? What was the next move?
That's a good question. So I taught in Gwinnett County Public Schools, which is one of the systems as part of Metro Atlanta. Actually, Gwinnett County is the largest school system in the state of Georgia. And I previously taught language arts, social studies, journalism. I delved a little bit into drama and theater arts, and some of the advisory pieces were for the intramurals program, like the after school sports program, yearbook, and actually had a poetry club that I did. Part of what was going on at the time was I was doing a little bit more work with our nonprofit, the Lead Foundation, and doing a little bit more grant writing. And I just felt like you can make an impact locally within the classroom and within the community, but I thought I would be able to make a broader impact if I were elsewhere. And part of the thing that was a key hint as to why I'm probably not in the classroom, there was a stretch like the first year I was out of the classroom where I was gone for half the month. And there's no way you can be in the classroom and be gone for if you're looking at a 5-day work week, you can't be gone 10, 15 days. There's just no way you can do that. But part of what still allows me to stay connected with the classroom under my business career of community solutions, I still have an education-based services. So that's still virtual, traditional tutoring, student coaching. And for some of the high schools in Metro Atlanta, I handle their standardized test prep for the ACT, SAT. So even though I'm not in the classroom day to day, I'm still tied in with it in regards to still working with some great young people, middle school, high school, and even on the tutoring end, I tried to stay away from elementary school because, little kids, their energy is like, wait, sky high. But I've been real blessed with everybody that I've been able to work with. And I do work with some elementary students that at their core, they want to do well. I don't know if there's anyone who intentionally does not want to do well. They might not know how to get there, and they might feel like, okay, this is the way I'm used to doing something, and now that it doesn't work, what do I do? But I really don't think people inherently, don't want to be successful, don't want to figure out their gifts, their talents, whatever. It's easy to get sidetracked, and it's easy to be in a very clouded state of mind. So I'm very grateful to all the young people, to the parents who are making the best effort they can to consistently invest in the lives of their kids. The educators are out there day to day. People in the nonprofit community are out there day to day. There's a lot of unsung heroes. So I'm not in the classroom each day, but I'm still connected with it.
Okay, awesome. Now you mentioned creative community solutions.
Yes, that's the business umbrella that I work under. So as I just noted, the education-based services, then there's the press and media services where I actually work with a couple of different individuals, businesses, to help them get connected with, your different media outlets, radio, television, your podcasting, things along those lines. Great people like you, real talk, great people like you. And with the partnership I have with one of the Atlanta Media Group's Status Network, that's my full broadcast show, The Conversation Corner, which airs every second and fourth Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So under the umbrella of entertainment, business, community, and more, I've been blessed to have fellow authors to come on, candidates from local to national office, people in arts and entertainment, a little bit of everybody. So being able to, tackle those items is pretty cool. And then independently, I cover some of my own events. So last fall, I was able to cover the runoff elections that here in the state of Georgia with Senators Warnock and Ossoff. I'm on their media list as well as the media list for Congresswoman Bordeaux, Representative David Scott. And actually, what was really cool thing is when Senator Warnock had his early press conferences, which were virtual, it was really a thrill when you're seeing like ABC, NBC, CBS. He's from Savannah, Georgia, so the Savannah media. Then you're there. So of course, I was like a big kid before they started. I ain't gonna lie, I did a screenshot. And when I did my article, heck yeah, I put that in there. I'm not gonna lie. So being able to do that, and then the writing end with having written 3 books, and as of tomorrow, 5 audiobooks, and I've done a little bit of editing for other authors. So it's a blessing to do what you're good in and do what you're passionate and purposeful about. And I know people hear that all the time, but that's real. Like it's just different when you're operating in your lane and in your purpose and all those types of things. And it doesn't mean there aren't lean moments, because there are, but even when a lean moment and this opportunity happens and that opportunity happens, you understand it's part of the process, and what you're doing today is preparing you for tomorrow. So yeah, it's exciting. It really is.
Great. I love it. Now, also, I want to mention, I want to let everybody know, as I was preparing for day, people don't know, I send out these emails and these messages to guys and saying, hey, you don't know me, but would you sit down and talk to me? And then when a guy says yes, I go back and look further into who he is. Now, I was looking through your stuff after you said you would sit and talk to me. And there seems to be some sort of common theme, connection, I don't know what it is. But I want to mention, I was born in a city. I left when I was 5, but I was born in a city that you and I are connected to. I was born in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Oh, wow. Oh my goodness.
Tell the audience your connection to me would be what?
The Triad. Oh my goodness. Now we're really talking. So my connection to Winston-Salem and that whole area, shouts to everybody in the Triad, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point, I was about to say Kernersville, Clemens, Halftown. I actually went to college there. I'm actually an alumnus of Wake Forest University. located right there in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And shouts to the other colleges and universities out there. Shouts to my friends and colleagues right across town at Winston-Salem State, you know, the Ramley, go Rams, North Carolina School of the Arts, Salem Academy, and even shouts to Forsyth Tech. We don't shout out our 2-year institution.
That's right.
So shouts to Forsyth Tech. And then just going down the road on I-40, you know, shouts to the schools on West Market and East Market Street. West Market, you know, UNC Greensboro.
He knows the neighborhood.
East Market, North Carolina A&T. So shouts to, you know, the Aggie family, Bennett College right across the street. You know, High Point University. Like, I tell you what, that area as a young adult, arguably to me, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, I'm very biased. The best stretch of interstate for a young adult, like your late teens, early 20s, is between I-40 on Winston-Salem and I-40 in Raleigh because of all the schools. In addition to the schools I mentioned there, you've got Elon University right off of I-40. Then you go further down, you've got UNC Chapel Hill, the opposite end of 15501. You've got North Carolina Central, you've got Duke. And then you go a little bit further down the road in Raleigh, you've got Shaw, St. Aug, and NC State. So like that hour 45-minute stretch.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. People don't understand the power or the impact that college education life that sits right there, that's clustered all right there. And that's always been one of my pride points growing up, even though I left when I was 5. It's always been, you know, one of my sense of pride, you know, to be connected to that. So I was tickled when I saw that. I said, oh, okay. Deacon, right?
Well, I tell you what, I'm glad you asked that because you gave me a good quiz. I'm like, all right, how deep is he in the triad? It's like, yeah. I won't start naming now. If I start naming different places to eat, now that's a wrap. I will give two spots a shout. Shouts to Sweet Potatoes in Winston-Salem, definitely a must visit. And another good spot, Carolina Vineyard and Hops.
Okay.
2 really good spots, Black-owned spots too. So I'm just being blunt. You gotta shout your Black-owned businesses. Real
That's
talk.
right. That's right. That's right. Now, you and I have another connection, or I should say a trend that I see going on. And I spoke to a guy a few months ago and I mentioned it, and I don't know what it is, but you're also a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Yes.
And it seems like I have been doing these interviews for 3+ years now. And of all of the Black Greeks, it just seems like Alphas time and time again have popped up for me. So it's to the point where I'm like, I need to get the roster and see, like, is it just more of them worldwide, or I just seem to be stumbling into you guys back to back to back. Thank you guys very much for showing up for Lana. I want to say I appreciate that.
Well, I thank you. First off, shouts to all of our Divine Nine organizations. So our noble Greeks and fellow fraters of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, Omega Psi Phi fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma fraternity, as well as Iota Phi Theta. Shouts to our sororities, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Delta Sigma Theta, Zeta Phi Beta, Sigma Gamma Rho. Like, yeah, of course you're going to have pride in your organization, but you keep it balanced and realize everybody brings something to the table. So to all of our Divine Nine organizations, thank you for what you have done historically, what you're doing now, and what you've yet to do. And for me, spring 1991 initiate through the Zeta chapter at Wake Forest University, and a charter member of 2 of our chapters here in Metro Atlanta, our Gwinnett County chapter, as well as the current chapter I'm with Loganville Conyers. And I'll have to give one real last quick Alpha shout out to Alphas of Atlanta. That's our subcommittee of members of all of our grad chapters in Metro Atlanta that does collaborative programming, including the Alpha Derby weekend, which is our Kentucky Derby themed event that, of course, we've had to put on hold because of COVID, but the years we've been able to do it, being able to raise funds for at least 8 different nonprofits. So it's putting money back in for scholarship opportunities, male mentorship, co-ed leadership development opportunities. So don't get me wrong, we do have fun, but all of our organizations were started on college campuses. And without going knee deep, if you look at what was going on in society at the time, like that is the motivating force behind why all of our organizations are doing what we're doing. So shouts to all of our D9 and keep moving forward. Seriously, keep moving forward with the great work you're doing.
Awesome. Now you just spoke of giving back, community service, paying it forward. And as I was reading about you, that seems to be a common theme in a lot of the work that you do. Some of us get that message, some of us don't. I know people who just live their entire lives and have no wherewithal to focus on their community. For you, do you think it was maybe your parents, or it was the college lifestyle, the alpha? What was your push into, I need to be a servant of my community?
Honestly, it really started from home. When I look at the work my mom and my dad still do to varying degrees, my mom's a retired educator, and one of the hallmark programs I remember she had when she taught in Asbury Park Middle School was Project EAT. And the acronym stood for Everybody Ate Today. And that was creating an urban garden, doing canned food drives, visiting some of the retirement community shelters. And these were middle school kids. My dad always, he's also my fraternity brother. And my dad was always giving back, from like coaching me and my older sister, like for baseball, softball, basketball, soccer, work through church, things along those lines. And even to dig deeper, my grandparents on my mom's side doing a little bit of digging, like especially during the Great Depression, a lot of people would come to my grandparents' home to get a hot plate, because my grandfather, Will Sergeant Peppers, I remember growing up across the street, corn stalks, behind the house, corn and tomatoes and green beans. I remember shucking peas, snapping corn growing up as a kid. And then my mom filled me in where they used to have chickens and pigs and a horse. And I remember this giving back, because like Sundays when we'd spend, and both my parents are from Southwestern Kentucky. So shouts to Hopkins County, Kentucky, and Christian County, Kentucky. But I remember as a kid, when we'd spend time at our grandparents, we'd go to service on Sunday, and the meals were breakfast, dinner, and supper. So after service was dinner, and you'd have all these people that were still coming to the house getting a plate. So the seeds were really planted at home. Yeah. They definitely got accentuated during a little bit during high school. You do some stuff here and there, but it really took on a deeper meaning in college. I remember just the chapter there would do volunteer pieces with one of the homeless shelters where they're working 12-hour shifts on a Friday night. So not every Friday, but there are certain Fridays, it's like from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. they're working at a homeless shelter. Just those types of things. And I think, those experiences, and then ultimately as you get older, you hopefully get a little bit smarter, a little bit wiser. Now I know I still got work to do, but I'm thankful for the work I've been able to do, to be like, it's a charge you have to keep. It really is. It's part of your stewardship. It's part of your charge. And the fact that nobody got here by themselves. Someone thought enough of you to give you a chance. And sometimes people who didn't have it gave what they could in order to elevate you. So you have to do something. You might not be out there all the time, but you've got to do something some of the time. And it's just a reminder of don't let success get to your head. Don't let failure get to your heart. And, don't get too big for your britches, because as quickly as you've risen, you can get knocked down real quick. So it's again, part of it's the upbringing. Okay. Getting the deeper notion in college and then professionally, and understanding it's a charge you have to keep. And hopefully if people see you doing something, then they might be motivated in some way, shape, or form, somewhere down the road to do something as well. Awesome.
See, so that's a message to the folks that think that all we do is party in college. No, the seeds are planted in college that, after this, you have to give back. And also I asked the question because it's a concern for me. As I walk around in this world today, it just seems like everybody's so into their own world. We're down on our smartphones and looking at our phones, and we're not paying attention to, that homeless person that's sitting there, in need or whatever, because we're in our own universe. So, it was just very refreshing to me to see somebody who's saying, no, I'm going to give back. I'm going to pay it forward I got here with the help of somebody, so I have to help somebody. So
Yes,
I was
ma'am.
just beautiful. Now you also do something else that's really uplifting and helpful to people. Because I'm nosy on your social media site.
Well, wait. Is it nosy or you're just trying to get a better point of reference? See, I'm gonna give you writer's creative license. You're just getting a better point of reference.
No, 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 I was being nosy.
Okay.
No, I was being nosy. At this age, I'm honest with myself. I was being nosy. But you have this beautiful thing, and I clicked and I said, oh, wow. And then I clicked the next one and I said, oh, wow, it's the Fast 15. Tell me tell us about
gosh. Yeah. So as a lot of people during the pandemic, when it really kind of got full blown in March, there is a lot of stress. I'll be honest. There were times where I couldn't like really fully sleep or shut down. I remember one night in particular, I was up the whole night and then I'm like, okay, it's like 5, 6 in the morning. I'm gonna go out to the park, which is still part of my routine. Mm-hmm. And I figure by the time this walk is over, I'm gonna be sleepy. And it didn't happen. Like there are like a couple nights I remember being up for like 25, 30 hours. Like, and a lot of it was the uncertainty. So even not knowing what's really happening, even like I'll be honest, like early in the pandemic, if I went to the park, if I went to the grocery store, if I went to the bank, as soon as I got home, all those clothes were going in the laundry. I was taking hot shower. It was almost like if you think about that movie in the late 90s, early 2000s, Outbreak, like I was just like bent out of shape. But then I realized, there are probably other people that are bent out of shape. And it's funny when I started doing the weekly chat, the Fast 15, the idea is just a quick 15-minute breather, middle of the week, Wednesday, middle of the day, a little bit after 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because like sometimes you can't wait until your workday is over to decompress, and you might not be able to wait until the morning. You might not make it to the morning. So the whole idea was just like a 15-minute or so time to just kind of pause, slow down the moving parts, acknowledge, like for people who are going through some tense times, that it's understandable that you feel some type of way, but you want to do what you can constructively, not being stuck there. And then, of course, acknowledging, the success that people are doing. And then I guess it is part sermon, not exactly, but pulling a selection from one of the books or audio books that hopefully is speaking to an issue. And then just closing out on, just some simple news and whatever. So the first day that I did it was April 1st. I know, April Fools, what a great time, but pretty much on most Wednesdays I do that midweek breather, and there have been some people that respond and been like, that's what I need during the middle of the day. Sometimes you do need that pick me up. So we all have to find ways to constructively decompress and just try to maintain our perspective, our poise, to varying degrees, our sanity. And like I was saying earlier, you might not be able to wait until the night. You might not be able to wait until the next day. So if you need to, whether you're working from home or you're working and you have to step away from your desk for like 5-10 minutes to keep your sanity, I mean, do it. I don't, you do it with the hope that it's going to help somebody. So, because I don't want to read about, people going ham and losing their marbles and they blow up a city block, when maybe if someone had pulled them aside or just encouraged them, hey, it's okay, clear your head for about 5-10 minutes, just calm your system down. It's kind of like if you think about in sports media, I'll just be blunt, good sports journalists will give a professional athlete, college athlete, or high school student athlete those 5-10 minutes that they can kind of calm down. So when you talk with them, they might still be feeling some type of way, but they're in a better position to manage their emotions. Like I said, sometimes you got to pause. So that's the whole point. Just, it's okay to pause from time to time. If that's what you need to do, if that's what you need to do to reboot, do it.
That's right. It was just consistent uplift. And I was like, yes, people need this, because sometimes people are going through their thing and you really feel like it's just me. So to have somebody out there saying, no, everybody else is going through this, and this is what we're going to do together to get through this. So sit down, pause, relax. Let me talk you through this, I mean, and it was just like, oh, wow. And that's why I said I was being nosy, because after I clicked the next one, I was like, okay, let me see what he said on the next one. Oh, let me see what he said on the next one. I said,
Thank you.
geez,
Thank you.
I like that. I like that. Now, there was a common message or theme that you mentioned quite a few times, who you are, who you are, who you are. Is that something you've always known for yourself, or is there a certain point in time in your life that the light bulb went on and Andrew says, hey, I know who I am?
That's a great question. I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. You have ideas based on what you internalize or what other people tell you, but until you start really taking time to really discover like the gifts and talents, like I think about writing. Could I have been writing sooner? Yeah, I probably could have and probably should have. But if I had done it sooner, would I have the appreciation for it or the maturity or insight? So I think discovering who you are and whose you are is ongoing. Like you think about the person you were 5 years ago, you're probably a little bit different. Like you think about things that used to bother you, and it doesn't mean they don't bother you, but you do a better job of redirecting your energy. Things that you might have been hesitant to do, like, are there times I roll solo to stuff? Yeah, I'll just be blunt. I've gone out to different events or whatever solo. I mean, that happens sometimes, but you know how there's some people that talk about, oh, I'd never do this by myself or whatever. It's like, no, sometimes doing stuff by yourself is good because you get to understand who you are and slow things down and just, you can step out on your own. It's great doing stuff with other people. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. But the whole discovery thing, even now, like when I do my morning prayer, I'm thankful for the gifts that have been bestowed upon me, but I always say the gifts that I've discovered and the gifts that I've yet to discover. So I know I always have to keep learning, keep growing, keep seeing what can I do slightly differently that allow me to be more effective, whether it's a more effective person on the education end, a more effective person on the media end, a more effective person on the writing end, just growing. Like you can't just stop here. And so if you feel like, well, I know who I am and that's it, then you're cutting yourself out of additional growth opportunities and what have you, different people you'll be able to engage with, people who can help enrich your life or help, just like you hope you're dropping seeds. You want someone else to drop seeds into you that'll make you pause and think, and hey, maybe I need to look at this differently, or maybe I need to consider this. So you're all, like I said before, you have a sense of who you are, but there's more to you.
Okay. And part of who you are is a writer. And you've written some books, but you've also turned these books into mixtapes.
Yeah, let me break that one down. So, and I've got them, so I'll do the quick show and tell too. So the first book that I did was 2017. This is Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with Joseph Snorton. And it's a read for anyone who's a lover of poetry. So the backstory on the title is around whenever the late Dr. Maya Angelou passed. I want to say that was 2013 or 2014.
Winston Salem, North Carolina.
Yes, great state of North Carolina. She was actually on faculty at Wake Forest University for a little bit over 30 years. So I was actually invited to that service that they had on Wake's campus with First Lady Michelle Obama, former President Bill Clinton, now the late Cicely Tyson, Oprah Winfrey. But when my invite came, it came in the name of Joseph instead of Andrew. And me being the youngest in the family and being a little bit silly, I asked my parents if there's something they need to tell me because I had never heard no Joseph. Now, you're nice about laughing. My parents, I'm not going to repeat what they said, but they are like, you have lost your flipping mind. But I did a little bit of research, and I do have a distant relative named Joseph. So the book is based on our conversation, looking at the action of love through broader lenses, family, community, people in your life, people no longer in your life. So, but what I did a little bit differently from a lot of poetry books is the beginning of each chapter is a portion of the conversation. That way the reader knows the context. So when they're reading the poem, it makes a lot more sense instead of you being like, yeah, this is a great poem. But in reality, it's like, I have no damn clue what you're talking about. So That's how I did that first one. So that's
Okay.
for the any of the poetry lovers, and that came out in 2017. 2018 is Nine Stories of Faith, Volume 1, and this is more interview based and introspective from the standpoint of everybody is living with some type of issue or challenge, but some people live with something each and every day. So the people I interviewed opened up about living with physical health challenges like multiple sclerosis, mental health challenges like bipolar disorder, where the person tried to kill themselves multiple times, life after incarceration, which is actually my cousin's story of his life being incarcerated for like a little bit over 10 years and what he's done since. So part of having that talk is, again, before people feel like whatever challenge you're going through is so severe that they feel like they got to do something detrimental to themselves or others, it doesn't mean you have to problem solve the exact same way that these people have, but it gives you options. So when people open up about what they're living with and how through the lens of best practices in health and wellness, their faith, and the conversations across Christianity, Hinduism, and Islam to have an interfaith conversation, their support network, but how they've changed their way of thinking, what's between their left and right ears, it does give people, encouragement, motivation, to some respects, ideas as how to do stuff. And I'll be honest, it's mostly, encouragement for other people, but then every once in a while you need to encourage yourself. So yeah, I look at this to help me keep my perspective. And then the third book, Nothing Minor, which was released last year, it's focusing on my coverage of minor league baseball in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and Mississippi. And I was very intentional with interviewing a lot of Black players because, as we know, the numbers in Major League Baseball have been declining since like the 70s. And probably right now, maybe, I'm just going to say it's less than 10% of all Major League Baseball players are Black. So I was very deliberate in that most of the players I interviewed are Black. Some of the players are in the major leagues right now. I also did a section on the Negro Southern Leagues Museum in Birmingham, Alabama, which actually has a larger set of archives than the one in Kansas City. And as a side note, from a cost standpoint, if you go to the museum in Birmingham, if you have a group of less than 9, it's free to go. If you have a group of 9 or more, it's $1. And it's on the same block as the ballpark where the Birmingham Barons play. So they are affiliated with the Chicago White Sox, but the Birmingham Barons get their name from the Birmingham Black Barons, from the Negro Leagues. So I really wanted to leave those types of footprints in not only getting the player stories of, how they maintain their focus, things along those lines, the game coverage, but then the life lessons. And I know one of the quotes, they're really powerful. One of the best quotes is from a player by the name of Travis Demerit, who at the time was playing with the Gwinnett Stripers. So they're just a level below the major leagues, and they report to the Atlanta Braves. And it had taken him a little bit longer to get to that level. He was drafted in the first round, so he was considered the best of the best. Drafted straight out of high school, which a lot of people don't realize you can sign a Major League Baseball contract out of high school. And it had taken him a little bit longer to get to that point, but he said something that was really powerful. He's like, filter out the noise. And he used it for himself to not listen to people who are like, it's taking you longer than planned. And he ended up seeing Major League time in 2019, 2020. He's actually back with the Gwinnett affiliate. So he's a phone call away from being back in the major leagues. But you think about anybody, like if you have that dream or passion and people try to talk you out of it, sometimes you talk yourself out of doing something. Sometimes you have to filter out the noise. And so you do. So those are the books that I've written. Now, the audiobook series, the author's mixtape, goes in a completely different direction. It borrows definitely influences from the freestyle culture that you see in hip hop, as well as the improvisational culture that you see in jazz. So we did, my team of Third Level Entertainment, as well as Canis Major Digital, we do our editions every August and February. August because that's the month I was born, February because of Black History Month, and it's 6 months apart. So real quick. So the first one, volume 1, is called Organic Musings from H2O, and we played off the spelling of 2O, Tooooh. That's a 7-track piece of everything that's recorded is done in studio. So the backstory on that is the owners of the entertainment group, their daughters who were in middle school at the time, each one wrote 10 different titles or 10 different topics. We put the names in a bag I would draw the name. I would have 5 minutes to come up with an outline. They'd have 5 minutes to see if they're going to use a track or not. And then we record it. And we did all the recordings in one take. So the first audiobook is seven tracks. And the second volume, which is Beyond the Holidays, Beyond History, is 8 tracks. Then the third volume, Get the Bag, is 9 tracks. So the first 3 I did individually. So it's a combo: music, traditional spoken word, but everything is really shooting straight from the dome. And we're doing everything in basically a 2-hour studio session.
Wow.
Volume 4, which came out earlier this year in February. I'm so excited that I knew I needed to go in a different direction. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the sound of my voice, but you need to hear something different. I'm so thankful with one of my great colleagues, Chris Ten. I brought her on and introduced her on volume 4, which came out in February, which is called The Collab. So she did 3 tracks. I did 3 tracks, and then we did a duet. And now volume 5, which is called Forward Thinking, Believing, and Doing, it's scheduled to release August 28th. So she is actually taking the lead on this. And I was asked, well, it's your project. What? I was like, look, yes, it's my project, but you don't get in the way of people who are talented and gifted.
Yes.
And if you're talking about, well, you need to operate in your gift. If you see someone else is operating in their gift, you need to let them do it. Either support them or get out the way.
That's right.
And so she is basically the lead on this. She did 2 individual tracks and she took the lead on 1 duet. I did 2 individual tracks, took the lead on the other duet, and then I closed it out. So it's really putting her talents to the forefront. And I tell you what, it's just fun. And in regards to availability, I'm so thankful with the team I'm working with. So unlike a lot of people who have their audiobooks on Audible, which is cool, don't get me wrong, Audible is a great platform, but I took a different approach. So the part with the partnerships, we're on almost 300 streaming platforms. So all the audiobooks are available on Tidal, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon, Shazam, Deezer. So I just named 9 platforms. Don't ask me about the other 290. but I took more of a music approach. And again, everything that's done for the author's mixtape, it is true freestyle. Like, we're not pre-writing anything and going in the studio. We do everything in studio and everything. Even Chris Ten, with the tracks she did on volume 4 and the tracks for the soon to be released volume 5, she did all that freestyle. Like,
that is true creativity. Wow. And you saw the next one, well, your birthday, you said, so the next one is coming out now?
Yeah, the next one, volume 5, is scheduled to release on August 28th. So that'll be, my actual birthday is August 31st. So part of me choosing the 28th, it comes on a Saturday. I'm doing it a kickoff and what have you. Not only that, I got to give shouts to my sister and brother-in-law. Their wedding anniversary is like a couple days for my birthday. So it's a subtle anniversary. It's part birthday, part it's keeping with the timeline of February and August. Part shout to my sister and brother-in-law. And again, to be able to work with someone as talented and capable as my co-author, Chris Ten, it's her time to shine. I know I'm going to have my opportunities, but and like I said before, you know, when you're talking about walking in your purpose, part of walking in your purpose is recognizing that sometimes the best support you can do is get out the way. Sometimes you give people that nudge, or you do what you can. And I've said this before, sometimes you put your stuff on pause if you know that the energy you're going to put into and pour into is going to help somebody else to be a bigger resource, because then they're going to be more likely to do the same type of thing and everybody grows. So there's some things you have to be insular and selfish about, but not everything.
That's true. I mean, and I think that's a beautiful element. It speaks volumes of who you are, to be able to say, this is this person's talent. This is where they excel. Let them do their thing, you know, because sometimes people don't want to do that. They want to hold all the glory, all the lights for themselves. So I think that's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. And a wise person told me, when the spotlight's on you, put it on something bigger, because the spotlight's on you. Now you're getting everybody's attention. Now that I've got your attention, this is what we need to talk about. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to address. These are things we need to consider. So it's partially about you, but not entirely about you. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I'm around people who, in the moments where every once in a while you start feeling yourself, they constructively be like, we can do this the easy way or do this the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to knock you back down the side.
That's
so
right. Tap you on the shoulder. Tap you on the shoulder.
I'm very thankful and grateful to those individuals. So thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, before I ask you my random question, I do want to let everybody know that you've just been nominated, all these books and the stuff. You've just been nominated for something?
Yeah. Shouts to the Black Only Awards team based here in Atlanta, Georgia. And here I was working with the student, wearing my educator hat, doing previewing of the ACT and SAT. And I see that you get tagged, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. They're having this award show. And I'm like, oh, this is nice. Authors of the Year. I wonder who's nominated. And my name pops up in the scrolling display. I fell out laughing. Like, whoever has been paying attention to me and thought enough of me to nominate me, I thank you. I don't know who it was. I'm just thankful and grateful. And I say this from the bottom of my heart. It's great being recognized. If I'm fortunate enough to be named, I'm the only male in that category. So I'm competing with 6 women. Oh my gosh. And I know how women come together. So I'm going to try to be as polite and kind and yes, ma'am. And may I get the door and let me walk you inside. I mean, if I win, I tell you what, that would be a cool experience. But even if I don't, the fact that there's somebody who I don't know who thinks enough of me to say, this somebody you need to look out for, this somebody you need to pay attention to, whoever that person or those group of people are, I'm very thankful and grateful for that. And even when you write or record, it's about, this is a narrative that you feel is undertold or it needs to be told differently. And you want attention so people know who you are. And if they feel like the work that you're doing is a fit for them or somebody else, you're looking for that type of attention. But like when you get into awards and stuff, I don't care who it is. It could be the blind boys of America. I don't care. The fact that people think enough of you to say, we acknowledge what you do. We want to elevate you. And if we elevate you, it elevates your platform. If it elevates your platform, if you're right-minded and responsible, there's so many more people that you can, positively encourage and empower. I'm all for it. And it's a blessing. I don't take it lightly. So those awards are taking place November 27th. I know they're keeping the location a secret, which I understand, build up the anticipation, but I'm thankful and grateful for that opportunity. Awesome. Just, that just puts more fuel in there. It's like, there are people pay attention. And what a lot of times what I'll say is, especially when I've been on the other side of the mic, is that the most important person someone's going to hear from today is you. So how dare you hold your gift back or your voice back because someone's waiting to hear from you. That's right. And I got to take a piece of my own advice that someone has been waiting to hear from me. So how dare me think that I've arrived or I've accomplished or I've done all I need to do, kind of piggybacking off of one of the questions you asked earlier, like you're always looking to grow and evolve and just cast as wide of a shadow and leave as big of a footprint as possible.
Awesome. I love it. Awesome. Well, Mr. Fellow Winston-Salem history, Alpha Phi Alpha, author. I didn't even get to the show. There's so much stuff going on. I didn't get to it all. But now I got to do my random question. And I just didn't get to it. I'm just so upset. Oh, well. Maybe we'll have to talk later. I don't know.
That's cool.
Let's see what we got here. Ready?
Yes.
Name something that you really hate paying for.
Oh gosh, something I really hate paying for. When I had it, my car note. I'm sitting here like that's trip money, that's Kool-Aid money. That's like probably I'm thankful to God that I don't have a car note. And that helps free me up to do some other wonderful things. That's the biggest thing I can think of right now. Like, the other stuff is understandable. It's like, but dag, I got to fill this thing up and I got to pay insurance. Take away at least one of these things.
Oh,
So
goodness gracious.
Yeah.
You're down there in Atlanta. Every time I'm down in Atlanta, it takes hours to get to everywhere that's 20 minutes away.
Well, the challenge with Atlanta, with people who don't live, heck, even people who live here don't realize, basically half of the state of Georgia's population is probably within about a 30 to 40 mile radius of the city. And what's partially problematic is it is still a driver's mentality. So you do the math there. If I don't know, let's say, and I'm being real conservative, let's say there's 10 million people that live in Georgia. 5 million live somewhere within a 30, 40 mile radius of the city. And the mentality is a driver's mentality. It's going to be problematic. I think now all of a sudden, there's a better awareness of, hey, we might want to expand the mass transit system. That's a whole nother conversation, but I'm just going to say this. Having grown up in Jersey and taken the train to go in New York, having spent time in DC and riding the Metro, or Chicago and riding the L, look, if I can take a train, I'm going to do it and save myself the drama of sitting in gridlock and what have you. But yeah, that's the main reason why half the state's population is so close. And the majority of people is like, yeah, I like getting up and driving like the next person, but and now the patterns are so unpredictable. Like you can be on, let's say, I'm in the eastern part of the metro area. You can be on Interstate 20 going westbound into the city, and it's a bigger bottleneck trying to get into the city, like let's say at 4:30, than it is for people leaving the city. It's like, I don't get it. So
yeah, it's always, every time I'm there, I'm like, does not anybody never stay home? Like there's traffic all the time, the time.
And I think with it being, obviously a key city nationwide, but a key city, obviously in the Southeast, Hartsfield, Jackson, one of the busiest airports, it's what a competition between what LAX, O'Hare, Hartsfield, Jackson. I mean, it is what it is. So you just understand that might come with it, and you just
buckle down and prepare yourself.
Put in a good audio book, put in the author's mixtape while you're sitting in traffic.
That's great. That's great. Well, Mr. Andrew Snorton, please tell us how we pick up the book, how we connect with you, how we get the Fast 15. Just give us the whole rundown.
Sure thing. With the 3 books that I mentioned that are in print, Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with Joseph Snorton, 9 Stories of Faith, Volume 1, and Nothing Minor. You can order them online from Barnes & Noble, Amazon. They are in bookstores in pretty much like the Southeast. I know I need to get better traction in the West Coast, but the bookstores, let me, off the top of my head, Detroit Book City up in Detroit, Michigan, Read More Book and Card in Madisonville, Kentucky, Lemuria Books in Jackson, Mississippi, the Tubman Museum in Macon, Georgia, Nubian Bookstore in Morrow, Georgia, Madu Bookstore at Greenbrier Mall in Atlanta, Georgia, Black Dot Cultural Center in Lithonia, Georgia, Young Gifted in Black Children's Bookstore and Workshop in Stone Mountain, Georgia, Fiction Addiction in Greenville, South Carolina, Hub City Bookstore in Spartanburg, South Carolina, Park Road Books in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Wake Forest University's bookstore in Winston-Salem. If people would like to order direct from me, the easiest thing to do is to email me at authorsnorton@gmail.com with the correct spelling, address. I'll shoot you the payment info. Once I got it, I'll ship it out to you. The audiobook series, The Author's Mixtape, the first 4 volumes are available on your favorite streaming platforms: Tidal, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Apple Music, Amazon, Shazam, Deezer, and others. You can either type in The Author's Mixtape or type in my name, Andrew Snorton. It'll pop up. Volume 5 is scheduled to release August 28th. So you can get those that way. And just to stay connected with me on social media, Facebook, add me at the page author, AUTHOR, author Andrew Snorton. On Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, you may add me at author A Snorton. To email me at authorsnorton@gmail.com, and to visit the website, if you visit asnortonccs.wixsite.com, then /author page, you can visit me there. But an easier way to do that, if you add me on Instagram at author A Snorton, click on the link in the bio. It will go to the interviews I've been able to do. So obviously, once this one's ready, I'm gonna put up a photo and put the link up and all that type of thing. And then you can navigate through the site and just check out, a little bit of everything. So yeah, those are the main things. And I want to thank you again for taking time to reach out. Thanks for thinking enough of me to even be like, hey, you need to answer that message and you need to take advantage of this opportunity. So I'm very thankful and grateful that you thought enough of me to have me on your platform.
Thank you for all that you are doing, all that you are putting into this world, all that you are giving back, just the awesome and amazing stuff that you are doing. I mean, just thank you. Thank you for being you. I appreciate it. A lot of times you guys don't hear that enough. So I want you to know I'm here and I'm saying it. I appreciate everything that you are doing, all the energy that you're putting out into this world. Just beautiful, just wonderful, just wonderful. Thank you.
Awesome. And again, like I said to your audience, please continue to support this platform. Real talk, please continue to support this platform. She's doing some great things, clearly. Not because I was on today, but real talk. As you're the clock bringing, the old school grandfather clock in the background. But seriously, to your audience, please continue to elevate the work she's doing. Seriously, please do so.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I truly appreciate it. Well, dear, that is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I will see everybody next time.